Hey everyone, and welcome back. So, episode 6 of Welcome to Derry, In the Name of the Father, just dropped a massive, heartbreaking bomb on us. We finally learned the truth about Ingrid Kersh. And if you're like me, you're sitting there piecing it all together, realizing that the real horror isn't just the clown in the sewer. It's the story of a daughter who lost her father, and the monster that learned to wear his face. Let's break this down and really talk about what this means for Ingrid, for Pennywise, and for where this season is heading. First, let's get one thing crystal clear, because the episode was very specific about this. Ingrid Kersh is not Pennywise's sister. That's a crucial detail. She is the daughter of the original Bob Gray, the human being. The man who was a carnival performer who put on the clown makeup and called himself Pennywise the Dancing Clown, long before the ancient entity we know ever stole that name and that face. This changes everything. It's not a sibling rivalry, it's a tragedy. When young Ingrid, back when she was a nurse at Juniper Hill Asylum, heard a little girl describe seeing a clown, her heart must have leaped. She hadn't seen her father in so long. She thought, he's come back. So she took that little girl, Mabel, down to the boiler room, believing she was leading her to a happy reunion. But what came out of the shadows wasn't her dad. It was the thing wearing her dad's skin. And in that moment of pure terror, when Pennywise killed Mabel right in front of her, Ingrid's mind just broke. It couldn't accept that this monster was a stranger. So when it turned to her afterwards, wearing her father's perfect, loving smile, calling her pumpkin, her broken mind made a deal with itself. She decided, that is my father. A shadow has him, or he's sick, or he's changed. But a daughter knows. That's my papa. This is the delusion she's been living in for almost 30 years. Her entire life since that day in the asylum has been one long, desperate mission to free the man she thinks is trapped inside the monster. She isn't helping it because she's evil. She's helping because she loves her dad. She's been luring children, not out of malice, but because she thinks it's the only way to reach him, to remind him of their bond. When she puts on her own old clown costume and becomes Periwinkle, she's not trying to be scary. She's trying to speak his language. She's trying to say, look, Papa, it's me. I'm like you. Come home. Now, let's talk about Pennywise and all this. This is where it gets really clever and really cruel. Think about what Pennywise is. It's an ancient predator that feeds on fear. It doesn't understand human love, not really. But it is a brilliant mimic and a master manipulator. It saw Ingrid's grief, her longing, her unconditional love for her father, and it saw an opportunity. Here was a human who would willingly deliver fear-filled children right to its door, for free, for decades, if it just played along with her fantasy. So it did. It wears Bob Gray's face for her. It calls her by her childhood nickname. It gives her just enough to keep her hope alive. For Pennywise, Ingrid isn't a partner or a daughter. She's a tool. A perfectly loyal, self-motivated tool who requires no magic to control, just the careful maintenance of her heartbreaking delusion. This tells us something new about Pennywise's intelligence. It doesn't just exploit the quick, sharp fear of a child seeing a monster. It can also cultivate and exploit a long, slow, aching human tragedy. It farms fear, not just hunts it. So, where does this leave us for the final episodes? Let's speculate a bit, based on what this episode set up. First, Ingrid is finally making her move. She's in her full Periwinkle costume, and she's headed into the sewers for what she believes will be a grand reunion. This is a massive collision about to happen. For 27 years, she's been dealing with the idea of her father in the monster. Now, she's going into the lair to face the reality. What happens when she stands in front of the true form of it? When the thing that calls her pumpkin drops the act and shows her its endless, hungry chaos? I think her delusion is going to shatter. The fragile story she's built her life on will break. And in that moment, she will feel a new kind of terror. The terror of realizing her entire life has been a lie, that she has done monstrous things for a love that never existed. This could go one of two ways. Either the shock and fear kill her instantly, making her Pennywise's final, most tragic snack. Or her betrayal and rage are so powerful that she becomes something else entirely. Maybe not a hero, but a wild card. A human who knows the monster's tricks and whose only goal left is revenge. She could become an unexpected, dangerous problem for it.
Second, think about the other fathers in this episode. The title, In the Name of the Father, hangs over everyone. Leroy Hanlon slaps his son Will, his fear turning to violence. Will and Ronnie are both grappling with their father's failures and dangers. And above ground, a mob of men, some wearing clown masks, are marching on the black spot. They're acting out of their own twisted sense of what a father, or a leader, or a town should be. Pennywise is feasting on all of it. The fear of the children, the anger of the fathers, the racial hatred fueling the mob. The Black Spot Fire isn't just a historical event from the book. In this show, it's the climax of a feast that Pennywise and its unwitting helper Ingrid have helped prepare. The human evil and the supernatural evil are about to meet in a storm of fire and fear. Finally, what does this mean for our main kids? They've lost the one adult they thought was safe. Ingrid was their secret keeper, their ally. Now they're utterly alone against a monster that has a perfectly placed human agent. But they might also have just learned the monster's biggest weakness. It needs stories. It needs personas. It used Bob Gray's. It's using Ingrid's love story. To beat it, they might have to stop believing the stories it tells. They have to see the truth behind the face. And in a twisted way, Ingrid's tragic journey might be the ultimate lesson in that. She believed the story, and it consumed her life. They have to be smarter. They have to see the real face behind the makeup, behind the kind smile, behind the voice that sounds like a loving father. So, as we head into the end of the season, we're watching two collapses happen at once. The collapse of Ingrid Kersh's world, and the collapse of Derry into violence. And at the center of it all, dancing in the wreckage, is the thing that wears a dead man's smile, waiting to feed on the fear that both collapses will create. It's a powerful, sad twist that makes Pennywise more terrifying than ever. Because the scariest monster isn't the one that jumps from the dark. It's the one that convinces you to bring it a gift and break your own heart in the process. Let me know what you think is going to happen to Ingrid down in the sewers. Do you think there's any part of her that can be saved, or has she been a lost cause since that day in Juniper Hill? Drop your thoughts below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.